back to the Blissful Badger. I just found out that I have a tournament for 40k on Saturday, and it is currently Monday. What am I going to do? Well, here's what's going on. I signed up as the 21st person of a 20-person 2v2 tournament at one of my local game shops, and I knew that I might be called in to replace someone who couldn't make it. And so it was reasonable. I figured a 500 point per person 2v2 game, 3 matches, one day. I could do that. And so I let myself just let that go as a thought, and I was like, if I get into it, cool. If not, cool. But 500 points, and there is 5 points riding on whether or not it's painted. So what am I going to bring, and what do I need to paint in the next 4 days so I'm ready? Well, this is the video to find out. So yeah, less than a week to plan out an army, paint it, make sure it's based, play the game, and then you'll find out all of the results, because it's going to be a pretty quick week, so this is my focus. Alright, so let's get to the table and figure out which army I'm going to play. Well, if you guessed orcs, you were right. I've been playing my orcs for the narrative lately, for the Crusade, and these are the ones that I think are the easiest army to make for a 500 point competition. So I have quite a few painted models, and I could do something funny like Oops All Grots. That could be a fun one. I have 5 units of 11 models. That would be 200 points fielded, which could be kind of fun. If I take them in the Dread Mob, I'm allowed to take that many units because they would be battle line. Otherwise, it's an incursion style battle, so I can only take 2 of each data sheet other than battle line. So it might be a little bit overboard, and I don't know how that would go against something that had a Titanic unit or something. So what other options do I have? I have, a unit of Flash Gits, I have a unit of Commandos, they're already painted. I have a single unit of Beast Boys and a unit of 10 Knobs, they're painted. Stompa is 800 points, that's out, that's above the point value allowed. And if you don't take a mech with it, it's not as great as it could be. I have a bunch of mech guns, I have 2 units of Deffkoptas that are painted, and I have tons and tons of other boys available. But I want the rules to be nice and simple. We're going to be playing 3 rounds, so the less complicated the rules get, the better. And I don't know what I'm going up against, and I don't know what my teammate is going to be bringing, because it's random, and I was the 21st person to choose. So I'm just slotting in wherever. So I think what I'm going to do is Green Tide. Because if I take 2 units of 20 boys, no special weapons or anything, I mean, that's a nice, easy tray. This is 340 points, and I have 160 points remaining. Well, boys with a Pain Boy in Green Tide, that's 500 points. So that seems like a great strategy here. It's 1 tray, and 2 models. And this is all I would have to bring with me out of all of the collection. And not only that, but these 42 models, I only have to paint one. I only have to paint one of these models to actually have a fully painted army. So, it's Monday night. I need to get painting on the Pain Boy. So, let's get into that. As this is a character model, I am going to go a little bit more detailed than normal. I'm going to start the skin tone with military green, a very nice dark green. Then I'm going to go to a deep green for the majority of the skin. I could start with a deep green and then do panel lining with the military green, but I'm going to just start with the military green. Then I'm going to highlight with light green and finally touch off a little bit of the extreme highlights with green sky. Since it's just one model, I'm not that worried about getting them all done with it. The skin's going to be important. I want it to be a nice character model, so 4 layers shouldn't be that bad. And for the grot, I think I will just go with the light green and green sky so that he's a little bit different. And if I have to change the color value, I can always add a slight change to it. But he's such a small part of the model, I don't want it to be hidden in all of the other things going on. And then I'm going to do the skin tone before I do anything else because I want that to be a good aspect of this model. And then I'll go from there. So, yeah, I have, this is Tuesday, so I have a little while to work on it. So I should get to work. So I did the green skin and highlighted it up. I chose to do the replacement hand in green gray so that it showed up as a different color. It's fairly muted right now, but I still have to do the metals and everything, so hopefully it'll look better once I've done that. And I put down flat brown for the pants because all of my orcs are wearing brown pants for some reason. And next I'm going to highlight up with beige brown on that and probably start introducing some metallics next. So I've got a good 2 hours into this so far, and I look forward to where I go from here. It looks pretty good. Well, I've been working on it for another hour, and I'm ready to start filling in all of the metals. So let's see what another hour of work with 6 different metal colors will provide. Alright, that actually took an hour and a half, but I was in the groove, so I kept on going. And I think this is all of the base coats down. I have a tiny bit of cleanup to do still. And I do want to do a wash over the metals because I like to tie them all together a little bit. I like having the variety of colors, but a non-oil wash just adds a little bit more detail. It's going to be the only wash I do over this, and then I'll do the base. So I think I have no worries on getting this done before Saturday. So that's good news. It is Friday, and the Pain Boy is painted. Yay. So now if I take him, I can put him in here with my other 41 models, and I have 500 points fully painted. And to make the game easier, I have 2 right there, all on one sheet. And on the other one, I have my stratagems, and dice and tape measure are in here. And nice and easy. No big deal here at all. Everything's packed up, and I'm not quite looking forward to an early morning tomorrow, but I am looking forward to getting 3 games in. So, yeah, I'll see if I can take some pictures of maybe at least the setups, and I'll get back to you after the tournament. And there we have it. 2 250 point drops in a 500 point list. This and the 2 demon princes with wings that my ally had made it so that we had the lowest drop unit count in any of the 1,000 point games. And I think it made it an interesting matchup. And we struggled against a couple of opponents. We were able to score fairly well, being that we were running 2 units of battle line at least. So we could still do an action and do other things sometimes. And having sticky objectives also helped. Thank you, Orc Battle Line, for that. And so our first matchup was against 2 Land Raiders. Chaos Land Raiders. One unit had some Flawless Blades, and the other ones had some 8 Bound. And our list, well, we scored 50 points in the game, but we did not have the way to actually break through any of the Land Raiders. And we also missed a couple of rules. My ally hadn't played very much since 8th edition, and I didn't know his rules very well. And our opponents definitely knew what they were doing. So 50 points wasn't horrible, and we took a loss, but we got a couple of pointers from our opponents in how to run the lists in the next matches, which was helpful. And so for game 2, we played against Necrons and Tyranids, and a Winged Hive Tyrant and a unit of 10 Raveners is quite a lot to take in. And I also had 2.5 rounds where I was trying to kill a single squad of Necrons, even though it was during the WoW for the first round. So my dice, at several points in the night, rolled 50% or more fails on a 3-up. So I'm honestly thinking I need to record myself rolling dice and maybe pick out the ones that just never roll lower or higher, because my dice rolls are bad. I've gone through 7 of the Chessex cubes already over the course of the last 4 years, and I just consistently roll poorly. We ended up losing the second game 67 points to 68 points. So It was a very close game, and I thought we were going to win that one, but we did not manage. But it was a very, very close game. So, for our third game, we went up against Kroot and Black Templars. And we did another fairly good game, but the fight first ability really, really hurts. And we didn't really have a lot of shooting availability, so we didn't have a way to really take care of it. And also having an oath target every round is kind of rough. So we ended up losing all 3 games, but we did score 175 points across the 3 games, which, if it was just win the actual overall points scored, we would have been like 5th out of 10 groups. But instead, because we went 0-3, we came in 9th out of 10. So we didn't get to sign the wooden spoon, but we did have a lot of fun. And I look forward to many more games at that type of size. I'm not really a big fan of going to large tournaments like RTTs or anything that actually has high level gameplay, but I really love playing at 500-point levels, or I hear that the shop's going to do 1,000-point Highlander in a few months before 11th edition, and that sounds like a great time, and I'll probably sign up for that. Also, I won a door prize, so I now have another squad of Chaos Legionaries. So it seems to me like the universe as a whole is really wanting me to do something with Chaos Space Marines, because again and again and again I put an army off and I keep finding more in my collection. And it's not like I'm actively going out to purchase these, so we'll have to see what we do with that, because I don't know. At one point I was thinking about doing Red Corsairs. I could still do that, or I could do something different. So I'll have to think a little bit on that. What do you suggest? Subscribe if you haven't, so that you don't miss any future videos. I also want to thank my patrons and supporters for making these videos possible. And until next time, I hope you find your bit of bliss.